Welcome to r/entitled people, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them, and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story: bartender quits job over rude head chef, when kitchen tyranny becomes unbearable. The second story: hotel hassles, when a demanding guest tests the limits. The third story: I got fired, but I took my revenge on them according to all sanitary standards. The first story is: I, waiter/bartender, quit my job because of a rude head chef. I passed the job interview with flying colors. The lady interviewing me told me that they're quite understaffed, which tells me that I'm most likely going to get the job. The first couple of weeks went fine until I saw how the head chef was treating the people around him, from the kitchen hands to the waiters and bartenders. From his attitude, I knew he was the head chef. Nobody needed to tell me what position he's in. This company offers bookings for events such as weddings, conference meetings, and etc. I basically worked in the event department. Our team was very small. It consisted of just me and my manager. My manager was also new to the position, and she did an amazing job learning how to handle bookings, and she learned pretty quickly. I didn't need that much training because I worked in hospitality for 3 years, and so I got comfortable quickly. Throughout all of my jobs, I never got along with some chefs. Some of them had terrible attitudes, and it seems like they're trying really hard to imitate Gordon Ramsay and think that's how kitchens are supposed to run. But it doesn't have to be like that. The first incident I had with the head chef was when I didn't know where the flowers for a wedding were located, because I was quite new to the job. My new manager didn't know either. Head chef comes and starts yelling orders at us. "Go and find it. What are you doing?" Both me and my manager told him that we're both new, and we don't know where the flowers are stored. He starts lecturing us about how the previous employee did all the work herself. I hated his attitude. He's expecting us to know everything when we just started working here. I proceeded to just ignore it and thought maybe he's having a bad day, someone who's rough on the edges. Another incident occurred when I simply walked into the kitchen to ask the head chef about some people who had dietary requirements, and he just started yelling at me, "What do you want? Can't you see I'm busy? What are you doing in my kitchen?" Now, I know that they're busy cooking and doing their job in the kitchen and I shouldn't disturb them, but I also have a job to do. My job is to make sure everybody is served properly, especially those people who have dietary requirements. So it's necessary for me to communicate with the kitchen often. You're probably wondering why not just leave the special order in the docket. Events are run differently. Dietary requirements are placed in the booking sheet. It's the client's job to put all dietary requirements in the form so that the kitchen can prepare for the event. Sometimes the client forgets to write a person's dietary requirement and will tell us last minute or during the event. I know that the kitchen can quickly make something gluten-free or vegetarian in a jiffy, but whenever I tell the chef, "Can you guys make something vegetarian?" Client forgot to put it in the sheet and told me just now. He just starts complaining and blaming me, saying things like, "Why the F are you telling me this now? Why wasn't it on the sheet? Are you serious?" It's almost like he didn't listen to a thing I said. So I said again, "The client forgot to put it in, so I'm telling you now. Can you make a vegetarian dish?" All that arguing, all for him to say, "Yeah, I'll make something real quick." Are you kidding me? What was the point of all that arguing if you're gonna make the vegetarian dish anyway? The last incident was the last straw for me. It was during a wedding. I signed into work. I didn't even look at the event sheet and see what food we were serving. I was just told to show up and look after the bar. Later, the kitchen needed help sending out food, so I went into the kitchen and said, "What are we serving tonight?" Head chef says, "You should know this already. I'm not telling you SH." Okay, that's my fault for not checking the event sheet. Sorry, but D, that attitude is annoying. My manager says to me, "My shift ends at 6 p.m. Here's the event sheet. Look after the event. Good luck. Make sure the photographers eat dinner too." I said no problem. I'm not the event coordinator, but I'll do my best. Just follow the schedule and I should be fine. All the guests at the wedding are getting food served to their table, and now that just leaves the photographers. I go into the kitchen and ask Chef, "My manager said the photographers need dinner too. Do we have any more food?" He says, "Nobody told me about no effing photographers. Why the hell are you telling me this now?" I just got fed up and said, "Well, I'm effing telling you now." He makes food for the photographers anyway. And I wonder, why do we keep arguing just working together? We all know that SH happens and things change in this industry. The absolute final straw for me was when I noticed the DJ for the event had no food for the whole event, and I felt bad for her. I asked her if she would like something to eat. She said yes. Tells me that she hasn't had any food the whole day and she's starving. I go into the kitchen and see that we have so much spare food that would have been wasted and thrown away. I didn't want to waste food, and asked Chef if we can have one more plate of food for the DJ. He starts getting mad again and saying, "You told me about the photographers, but nobody told me about no effing DJ." I got so mad and yelled back, "Eff it, she can starve then. I don't effing care anymore." He then starts ordering his apprentice chef to quickly make a plate of food for the DJ. Once again, we had to bicker for a few extra plates of food, and I was so peeved off that night. I worked my A off behind the bar and made around $3,500 worth of profit from just selling alcohol that night. And this is the kind of treatment I get? I sent in my notice and quit. I was a casual employee, so I didn't need to stay for 2 to 3 weeks for them to find someone new so I can leave whenever I wanted. I've always had bad experiences with chefs in higher positions, and I understand it's stressful working in a busy kitchen, but we waiters and bartenders are busy too. I've been told sometimes, maybe this industry isn't for you. Suck it up. That's just how chefs usually are. That's just how it's always been. It doesn't need to be like that though. I'm not sorry for standing up to myself. At the end of the day, we're all working to make money, so don't make others' lives harder than it needs to be. I still can't understand why some people insist on defending this kind of tyrant behavior. This story is absolutely astounding and frustrating at the same time. The head chef at this restaurant is clearly failing to manage his team and demonstrates an absolute lack of professionalism and respect for his colleagues. As a waiter and bartender, your role in providing quality customer service was important, and you were quite properly doing your job, asking questions and clarifying details to ensure that guests got what they needed. Your decision to leave your job is understandable, given how disrespectfully and aggressively you were treated by the head cook. No one should have to put up with that kind of attitude and inability to collaborate effectively. This story also raises an important point about professional ethics and interpersonal relationships in the workplace. Regardless of position or status, every employee deserves respect and cooperation from their coworkers. The head cook, like any other managerial employee, should be professional and respectful in his or her dealings with the entire team. The second story is, sorry your card has been declined. So I'm a night audit at a branded smaller hotel, 120 rooms, in a prominent ski town. This town has a bunch of hotels that have pretty high nightly rates, year-round, even in the off-season. A few days ago, we had an individual call repeatedly to get the rates and ask if we could go any lower. The MOD in second shift quoted her $330 USD for the night and tells me that she might come in, might not. So this individual calls at around 4 a.m. to see if we have any availability for later that day. I quote her the same amount. She rolls up around 5 a.m. She requests to see some different room types and that she would like to have the cheapest room. That is not abnormal for my hotel. I think it's weird, but management is okay with the front desk showing off different room types. So I have my other coworker show her an accessible king room because it's the lowest nightly rate. She gets the room, lays in the bed, and goes off to my coworker on being shown an accessible room. She was like, "Do you think I'm effing disabled?" to my coworker, and had the same sentiment towards me. So then I find her a 2-queen room for her to look at. She then comes back and is like, "I'll take the queen room, and I want to check in now." I tell her that there will be an early check-in fee of $100 US. She is fine with that. I check her in, then she goes to her room. About an hour later, she calls down and is peeved that her card was charged $530 US. I tell her that with the early check-in fee and incidentals that this amount of correct. She then pulls the "you should have told me there was an incidental fee," and I'm like, huh? So she finally goes to sleep. During her stay, she continually calls down to complain about noise. These calls occur during normal awake hours, and the front desk agent on shift says we cannot make people stop talking in their rooms. The hotel gives her a late checkout for the inconvenience. She finally checks out, but calls to see if she can book again later that day. She wants to see if we can split the nightly charge to 2 credit cards upon check-in. The MOD of the day tells her that we could split between 2 cards at checkout, but not during check-in. She is fine with that. She meanders to the hotel at like midnight to make a reservation. I tell her the same thing when she comes in. She decides to try a card and it declines. She then asks again if we could split between 2 cards. I tell her that unfortunately brand standards that we can't. She is then like, "Okay, can I chill in the loony while I work on finding other accommodations?" At this point, I'm very like, whatever. I give her suggestions of hotels that are in the area that are more budget-friendly, and she bees about them. Eventually, she leaves the lobby and drives off. But she really didn't drive off. She went to the 7-Eleven down the street and decided to come back to the hotel, and park behind the hotel shuttle. My coworker finds her sleeping in her car at around 3 a.m. We try to reach out to GM to be like, WTF do we do? But he's not reachable. She definitely seemed to be on something, so we didn't want her to leave and wreck the car, so we just let her stay in the car. The assistant GM gets in around 5:30, and we tell him the situation, and he immediately is like, yeah, we're calling the non-emergency police line. The police roll up shortly after because it's 6 a.m. on a Thursday. The assistant GM tells them the situation, and they come back with, yeah, this lady has been doing this to a lot of the hotels up here. When the lady gets kicked off property, she's like, fine, I'll try my luck at a different branded hotel in the area. I think that's the last of it, but of course it's not. As soon as I roll into my shift tonight, she's calling. She calls and then immediately is like, sorry, wrong number. An hour later, I get a call from corporate seeing if I've run the audit, and if the property was able to split cards at check-in. I'm like, nope, we can't do that. So hopefully management DNRs this lady and that ends this. I guess the hotel made a good impression though. This is just unbelievably absurd. The kind of people that sometimes come our way is unbelievable. This woman seems to have decided that your hotel is some type of attraction where she can have fun and create havoc. From calling several times and trying to haggle over the price of the room, to her parking in the backyard and sleeping in the car, it's truly out of proportion. Your patience and ability to remain calm in these situations is truly an art. Hopefully your management will take steps to prevent such incidents from happening again, and you won't encounter such ridiculous behavior again. After all, you managed to handle this unpleasant situation, and now you have a great story to tell at evenings. After all, stories like this make life in a night receptionist job a lot more interesting, don't they? The third story is, my restaurant insisted on staying open without hot water. I turned them into the health department. This happened last year right after we reopened after a month closed. I was working as a chef at a high-end private restaurant. One day during regular service, our hot water heater went out. Anyone who works in food service should know that it's extremely unsanitary, not to mention illegal, to operate without hot water. The owner and head chef were discussing whether or not they should remain open after finding out the repairman could not come until the following week. I reminded them that it was a huge health code violation for us to remain open without hot water, and that all it would take is for a customer to wash their hands in the bathroom to figure out we don't have any. The owner decided they had lost too much money being closed for that month, and that they had to remain open. I gave them the ultimatum. If they remained open, I would resign and contact the health department. They responded by telling me they would fire me unless I started boiling water on the range for the dishwasher to use. Needless to say, I walked out, went to my car, and called the health department. Moments later, my chef is blowing my phone up begging me to reconsider. I told him it was morally wrong and unprofessional to do something that could risk people's health. According to my coworkers, they operated the entire weekend without it until the health department came in on Monday, and obviously shut down and fined them. The same day, the repairman fixed the water heater, but the damage was done. In the end, they were closed 3 weeks and failed 3 inspections for other reasons before being allowed to reopen on top of fines. I also spoke to a regular customer who lived in the gated community said restaurant was in, and she sent a community-wide email explaining everything that happened. I don't regret any of it. I'm a professional, well-qualified and experienced cook. I take food safety extremely seriously, as one should. Oh, bad luck those idiots hired such a responsible employee. That was awesome. I especially liked the part where you created some really SH advertising for them all over the township, but it was true and it was their own fault. They deserved it. Keep up the good work, OP. Save this world from unsanitary and unscrupulous bosses. They deserve no place in the restaurant business, but with all this advertising, I don't think they'll be in business much longer. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.